Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. My name is Micheline. I am a certified health coach, a certified nutrition coach. I am also doing a program to get certified on women's hormonal health. So in today's video, I am going to talk about dietary guidelines. The very first time I heard about dietary guidelines, I never knew such a thing existed, was the time I was going through my health coaching program. And I was asked to analyze, my own dietary guideline, so they were expecting me to get a dietary guideline from Nigeria. And to my ultimate surprise, we didn't have a dietary guideline. When I googled when I googled it, for the Nigerian dietary guideline, the only thing I saw was just a tacky kind of, food pyramid, which was really not too good. So I decided to use the German dietary guideline, to do my analysis as at the time. So after having, going through the German, nutrition rules, nutrition guidelines, I realized the need for me to talk about dietary guideline, especially to Nigerians, because we not having dietary guideline explains the reason why we eat the way we eat. We in fact we eat at will. We enjoy. We Food is just like an enjoyment. It's not really something that will cure hunger. Even though in some for some people it is something that cure hunger, but food for us is really like, not we are not we eat do at will, in fact. And the thing is that we are very much extravagant when we come to food. I am sorry for people who might get offended on this, but we are really extravagant when it comes to food. So I decided it would be very nice to talk about dietary guidelines. Probably you could just take one or two things from it, using the German dietary guidelines. The German dietary guideline is not really my go-to dietary guidelines, because when we talk about Germans, we don't talk about good food. We talk about, sausages and bread. And so if you live in Germany, you know what I'm talking about. They don't really have good food. But from their from their dietary guideline, it's really something that anybody could just pick one or two things from and learn from, because it's really like, tackles so many things that are very, very important, especially when it comes to making informed decision that concerns what we eat. There are 10 rules of the German Nutrition Society, so it comes in 10 points. But before I go to 10 points, I would to talk about this 10 points. I would want to talk about, the importance of what dietary guidelines can do when we implement it in our daily life. With the rise in chronic diseases, like diabetes mellitus, high blood pressure, Alzheimer, fatty liver diseases, kidney diseases, and even cardiovascular diseases, and even cancers, implementing dietary guideline can do a whole lot in reducing our risk of these kind of diseases. Another thing is the fact that it will also help us make informed choices. For example, for some people who are already diagnosed, you want to navigate your health, your life, without so much stress, without complications. Implementing dietary guidelines is just one of the things you can do to help yourself. For other people who are trying to lose weight, like people like us, who are crazy about staying in shape and staying active, implementing this kind of dietary guideline is just one thing that we should consider, because it gives us like tips that we can follow, things that could be very much beneficial to us, especially when it comes to making decisions, concerning what to eat and how to eat them, when to eat them, and our attitude towards food. Another beautiful thing I love about dietary guidelines is the fact that even though it helps you make informed decision, it also helps you to really save money, because you don't really have to spend money on things that you don't use. For example, some of us will go to the supermarket, and at the end of the day we end up buying things that we don't really need. and this is really not good, and at the end of the day those things could, expire in our shelf, and at the end of the day that money goes away. But implementing this kind of dietary guidelines will help us to, when we get to do the grocery shop, we'll buy the things that we actually need and things that we are going to eat, thereby saving us a lot of money. So, having talked about the importance and the good things, that come with implementing dietary guidelines, in our lives, I would go on to now talk about the 10 rules of the German Nutrition Society, which is very, very interesting. The German Nutrition Society is governed by the DGE, which is they call it in India, which they call it um, DGE, but it's just a kind of a nutrition organization that governs, how much we eat, things that we eat, and, the safety of the food, that comes into the supermarket. So, according to them, according to one of their first rule, it says enjoy a varied diet. Well, what they mean by enjoying variety, of diet means enjoying, integrating or incorporating lots of different varieties of, food into your diet. For example, for people who are Nigerians, you kind of like, if it is not my soup or my gari, I'm not going to eat. When you box yourself into this kind of thing, you are just like, only getting the nutrients that that this soup and the gari gives you. But if you incorporate like varied diets, like adding vegetables, adding whole grains, different kinds of whole grain, different kinds of veggies, different kinds of fruits. For example, if you want fruit and you said, okay, if it is not apple, I'm going to take apple for the whole week. If it is not apple, I'm going to take. That means you are limiting yourself to, what the apple gives you, and which is really not really like, a very good thing for your health. But if you kind of like, take apple today, integrate apple, purple, other kinds of vegetables and fruits, you get to like have lots of different kinds of vitamins, which your body needs, so your body does not lack, and that is why they're encouraging you to enjoy a varied diet, and that's what it simply means. So the second one is eat fruit and vegetables 5 portions a day. This means that you have to like, at least 5 portions a day. If you have the opportunity to eat more, it is very nice. So according to when I googled more about this particular thing, according to World Health Organization, they said 5 fruits and veggies a day. And according to the NIHS, it says also the same, 5 fruits and fruits and veggies a day. But this simply means that, that you have to like eat ideally 2 fruits and, 3 portions of veggies. For people who don't know what 1 portion of fruits means, for example, one of my clients who happens to be a Nigerian, yeah, I hope he is not watching me on this video. I guess he is watching also. He said so I did a follow-up because I'm doing a program, with him, a weight loss program with him, and I did a follow-up, and I called him and I asked him, how he's doing, and he told me he ate 5 fruits a day. I started laughing. I said, it's not 5 fruits a day, it's just like, 5 fruits and vegetables, so you have to like mix them. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So what kind of fruits did you take? He said he ate 5 bananas. I started like, cracking with laughter, because seriously, that was not what I was expecting. And probably he didn't understand what I meant. So 1 portion of fruit is just like, eating 1 finger of banana. So if you eat 1 finger of banana, that is 1 portion of fruit. If you eat one whole apple, just one whole apple, that's 1 portion of fruit. So, but if you do like a kind of a salad, with different kinds of veggies in it, you cut them in pieces, that could amount up to like, 3 portions, of food, which is of veggies, which is also good. So that really completes your daily intake. But if you have the opportunity to eat more, it is very important. Eating green veggies and fruits, has been so good, because green veggies come with lots of fiber and also a lot of nutrients, vitamins, antioxidants, that we really need to fight, all these radicals that could cause cancer in our body and also cause inflammation. Another thing is the fact that if you are somebody who is losing weight, veggies is just one thing, that you should just take advantage of, because it's very interesting kind of food. I love it so much. You want all that glowy body, veggies is just one thing you just have to really go for. The benefits that we get from eating veggies and fruits is really immeasurable, and until you experience it, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. So the next one is opt for whole meal products. And when they're talking about whole meal products, they are talking about grains. And if you look at their food cycle, they actually make so much emphasis on the whole grains. And for people who don't know what whole grains means, because there are so many people in Nigeria, when we talk about whole grains, the next thing people ask is, what is whole grain? Because we don't actually eat whole grains in Nigeria. Whole grains are food that come in full package. This thing is in their natural form. They come in their natural form. I'm going to show you guys what whole grains means. Many people might think that rice is a whole grain. White rice is not a whole grain, but brown rice and other kind of rice are also whole grain. So I'm gonna give you some examples of the whole grains that I have at home that I eat personally, and they are very good. And if you want to I'll also tell you where you can actually get them here in Deutschland, especially if you're living in Munich. So I have the black rice. So this is what the black rice looks like. It's really like a whole grain. You can see it comes, everything is just intact, inside it, and the nutrients is just also intact. The good thing about this is the fact that when you eat whole grain, you kind of it really helps you, especially when it comes to filling you up. It also helps you with carbohydrate and has good amount of protein, which we also need for our body function. The next one I have is the brown rice. So this is what my brown rice looks like, so you can get this in just any grocery shop, here in Deutschland. Another one that I have is the quinoa, which happens to be my best, so this is what my quinoa looks like. I love it when it is mixed with the brown, the black, and the white one together, because I just want to take advantage of all the ingredients that come with three of them. Then the next one that I have is this one, which also happens to be my best. This is just the whole grain from spelt. This is the spelt grain, or the dinkel grain. This is just one of the, maybe for people living outside Germany you might not get it, but for people living here in Germany, it is really very easy and very cheap. I usually buy this from the local farm market, because I usually go to the farm market on Saturday morning to shop, when I have some kind of things, that I really need. Especially most of these whole grains are gotten from the farm market. So, but if you are not somebody, if you who like going to the farm market, you can also go to some other grocery shop. I would suggest you don't go to places like a nature shop, because most of those shops are very expensive, and those prices might scare you from getting into your healthy lifestyle. So it's better for you to go to places like normal grocery shops, or even DM. DM can really give you some kind of good things as well. So the next one that they have is add foods of animal origin to your diet. They are talking about meat, they are talking about fishes, they are talking about eggs, they are talking about sausages and all that, cheese, milk product. These are all animal products. But the thing is, I would want to talk on this animal product is we have to take it easy, because according to the World Health Organization, between 300 and 600 grams is just the ideal, ideal amount you need for the whole week. So you can imagine, it is not even up to 100 grams a day. So that is why it really doesn't make sense, so to me it doesn't make sense, and to a Nigerian it absolutely does not make sense, because Nigerians, we eat lots of meat. And when I'm talking about meat, I'm talking about Nigerians, we eat meat a lot. You don't play with fish, meat, some kind of eggs, with a Nigerian. So for us to really reduce the amount of these things, that for us to be in control of our health and guarantee ourselves the kind of lifestyle that we want, which is a healthy lifestyle, is by reducing the amount of meat and fish that we take all the time. Another thing is also reduce, because it also reduces calories, and also look for alternative products, which are kind of plant products that can offer us this same the same thing that the meat and the fish give us. And one of the things that we get from meat is protein, and this protein we can get from other products, like lentils, like beans, like the chia, like the peanuts, like the avocado. Proteins come from this kind of food. We could just take them up and eat them more as an alternative, while we stay just within the acceptable limit that is being given to us by the World Health Organization. So the next one that I have is consume health promoting fats. Fat is something very nice to our body. Fat helps us with our brain health. Fat helps us to produce hormones, and fat helps us also act as a body cushion, and also warm our body when we are feeling cold. So you can see that fat is also very important. But when we talk about fat, we are not talking about visceral fat. We are not the bad ones, the ones that are located in bad areas. We are talking about fats that are really good fats. There are three kinds of fats. So I'm gonna make it very short. The first one is the trans fat, which is a no-no. This is the kind of fat that we get from packaged food, from from the oil that is being sent to us. And this trans fat, or the so-called hydrogenated fat, is being put in this packaged food to prolong their shelf life, and also to make the taste so good. So the thing is that this trans fat, they are not good for our body, and it is not something it's not a kind of fat we want to introduce into our body. So any food that is packaged should be a no-no to us. Then the second one is the saturated fat. Our oil, which happens to be the red oil, and which happens to be the main staple ingredient in almost 95% of our meal, is saturated fat. But that does not mean that because saturated fat has been linked to be the root cause of cardiovascular disease, that red oil is bad. The problem is how much we take them. The red oil is saturated fat, no doubt, but the problem is the way we take this red oil. We practically drink oil in Nigeria. This is just how we cook, and this is really not too good, especially when it comes to health. So the only thing we have to do is to look for a way to minimize our intake of this kind of saturated oil, especially the red oil. While we are minimizing it, we look for alternative things that can actually help us, so we don't keep eating it. We reduce the amount that we take, so that it will, to maintain optimal health. This is a very important decision to take. Then we have the unsaturated fats. The unsaturated fats are considered the good fats, and they come in two categories. One of the categories is the monounsaturated fats. The monounsaturated fat we can find in foods like peanuts, we can find it in avocado, we in olive oil, we can also find it in different kinds of nuts, almond nuts, and all these kind of pistachio and all these kind of nuts. These are really kind of like some kind of some kind of fats that give you the omega-6, what we call the omega-6, which is also very important for our body. And but the thing is that we also have, just like the saturated fat, we also have to be very much careful when it comes to this kind of fat, because they are also not too good when they are being abused. So what they say, everything in moderation is very important. So the next one that I'm going to talk about, which is another category of the unsaturated fat, is the polyunsaturated fat. The polyunsaturated fat we can find in foods like the salmon, the mackerel, we can find in plant-based, plant-based food like the hemp seeds and the chia seeds. And when we eat this kind of the kind of fats that we find in the fish, is quite different from the kind of polyunsaturated fat that exists in that of the plants. But the thing is that our body knows how they do their things to convert the whole thing. That is going to be a video for another day. But the good thing is the fact that this polyunsaturated fat is very good, because they supply us with the omega-3 that we need for both our brain health, for blood cholesterol, and at the same time for our heart health. Omega-3 is very, very important. And if you have a lack in omega-3, then you really need to do something for yourself, because for maintenance of overall wellness, you need that omega-3 fatty acids. Then the next one they talk about is eat sugar and salt in moderation. Sugar is no friend to anybody, not to you and me, and not to even my enemies. And salt the same, is no friend of you and me, and not even a friend of my enemies. So something that is not my friend and not your friend and not even the friends of our enemies, then should not exist. I'm not saying sugar should not exist, I'm not saying salt should not exist, but we also have to practice everything in moderation. There are so many ways we eat salt in Nigeria, and there are so many ways we take sugar in Nigeria without all knowing it. All the packaged food that you think that you eat come with lots of salts, lots of sodium in it, and we just put them and we eat them. Plus the one we added ourselves into our diet, making the whole salt intake too much. Salt has been linked to be the root cause of some kind of be a problem to heart diseases, and also high blood pressure, which is really not a good thing. So minimizing our salt intake is very important. Then when we talk about sugar is just one name that I think almost everybody hates sugar right now. I was talking to a client and I said, so how much sugar do you take in a day? And he says, oh no, I don't even take sugar at all. And when we started talking and he started mentioning the kind of food that he eats, I told him how much sugar contained in most of this food. He was kind of like, wow, because we are practically taking gulping sugar into our cups of sugar into our mouth. The bread that we take, the white bread that we take in Nigeria, has sugar. All the packaged food, the biscuits, the buns, the cakes, every other thing, as long as it's packaged, the pizza and all, they all come with lots of sugar in them, and that is why we have to be very careful and say no to anything that is packaged, and look for alternative product, which happens to be natural products that we can take control of the amount of sugar that we put into it. So the next one they talk about, which is the seventh one, is drink mainly water. In Nigeria, seriously, it's really people drink water, but the thing is that it's not something that people enjoy. Drinking water is not what people enjoy. There was a time I don't like drinking water, but that doesn't mean that water does is not good. Water is just the best friend to anybody. You know what Fela says, water doesn't have enemies, so it's just your best friend, and taking it like up to 2.5 to 3 liters, for the men, and 2.5 for the women each day is very important for you to stay glowy, for you to stay beautiful, for you to stay healthy, for you to stay, with clear mind, for you to stay hydrated, for you to go to that toilet without, pushing too much. This is just the solution, and the solution is water. Sometimes when we eat in Nigeria, we say, oh, we want to, like, enjoy this food with one bottle of Fanta, or with one bottle of, fizzy, we call it fizzy drink or soda, you know we are just adding more insults upon injuries, because we are eating our calories and we are adding more calories to it. But substituting the soda drinks with water can really, like, go in a long way to reducing the amount of calories that we go into our system, and also guarantee us good health, that come with drinking water. So the next one is prepare meals carefully. And this is also another thing, another mistake that we make in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we overcook. We want our food to be like super crunchy, super tasty, everything is just like overly done. We want super spicy food. We seriously, food does not have to be complicated. With me going through this program, I realized that eating healthy food does not really have to be complicated, and you don't really have to, like, break a bank to do it. So cooking your food, in a moderate way, understanding that you don't need all those to overly cook your meat. You don't need to undercook your meat, to make it to make your food interesting is really one thing you just have to learn, to do. So trying to, like, fry your chicken to be super crunchy, you are killing the nutrients, that you could have gotten from this kind of from the food that you are making. So the next one they talked about is take your time to enjoy your meal. And what they mean by taking your time to enjoy your meal is by, like, concentrating on your meal. Eating should be a ritual for anybody, and seriously, since I started practicing that, way of life, when I'm eating, I just want to eat. I just don't want distraction. So I am kind of like integrating all my five senses, into my food. No distraction. There was a time when I used to eat, I watched TV while eating, and I realized that that was one of the mistakes I was making, especially trying when I was, super overweight, because I was overweight, So when I was super overweight, I realized that that was one of the mistakes that really caused me to really add so much weight, because when I eat, I watch TV, and these are distractions that really make you not know when you are overeating. But if you eat while concentrating on your food, will really help you to eat less and know when your body says, yes, I'm done, it's enough. And this were one of the mistakes that I made then. So eating, mindfully, or, to enjoy this meal is like using all your five senses, like I said, with your eyes admiring the colors of the food, with your ears listening to how crunchy, your mouth goes, and then to see your sense of taste, your sense of smell, and even your sense of touch. It's really very interesting, especially when you do try doing this kind of practice and see how it goes with you. It does not only help you to really, like, give you time to chew your food, and it also digest your food very well. It also gives you the opportunity to also minimize how much food you are taking. Then the next one, which happens to be the last one, is watch your weight and stay active. I don't know why this particular one should be in a food in a food in a rule, in a food guideline, but really it's something that is also very important for us to really think about. Checking our weight, staying active, it's not just about the beauty, the appearance. It also has to do with overall wellness. Staying active and maintaining a very good weight does not only promote blood flow, it also help lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. It also helps you to lower stress, and also helps you to really control your blood sugar, which is very, very much important in these days. And that's all I have, for all for today's video on these 10 rules of the German Nutrition Society. And I hope you pick one or two things from it. Like I said, enjoying food, that it has large amounts, enjoying food with large amounts of fruits and vegetables are very important. They recommended 5, a day, but if you can do more than 5 a day, it's very, very nice. Try as much as you can, because you not only get to really fill yourself with what your body really needs, you are also going to have the opportunity to lower your risk of chronic diseases, elongate your lifespan, and also elongate your health span. With this, I come to the end of my video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you can also share it with most of your friends who might be interested in this kind of video. And with that, I say stay healthy, stay beautiful, and I hope to see you guys on my next video. Ciao.